Hi everyone. So what I've done is I've redrawn the graphs what we had in the previous lecture, but I've now included the employment market. So right now let's go review where we're at. We're at E prime and we're in the YNs in 1975, and that long run average supply schedule has shifted inward. Now I don't have that in this graph because I want to keep things as simple as possible. So this E prime is where we started out after we had the oil price shocks that hit in 74 and 75. And so we're there, and let's say that's the natural level of employment at E prime in LN 75. Okay? So we're just starting out with where we ended up on the last lecture. Now, what the Fed did was, let's increase the money supply to try to get more loans into the economy and stimulate economic activity like that. So, the increase in the money supply causes this aggregate demand schedule to shift from AD 75 to AD 76, and output starts to rise, and in fact it did. Okay? It tried to offset these oil price shocks. However, at E prime, double prime, what we have is outputs rising, so firms have to hire more workers to produce that output. So that's why this labor demand schedule shifts from LD 75 to LD 76, and we go from E prime to E double prime. Okay? And employment rises. However, that is not the end of the story. We consider this short-run equilibrium at E double prime. Okay? Now, if you look at this relationship up here, the original real wage in 75 was W75, this wage, divided by price level P75 that comes from the output market. Now, at E double prime, we see prices rose from P75 to P76, and also wages rose from W75 to W76. Now, we've discussed this before. We've all noticed that prices are much more flexible than wages. Prices can change on a daily basis. Our wages, we're lucky if it changes once a year. So what we've seen is that when prices go up at a much faster rate than wages. So we would then conclude that, given that fact, that W76 over P76, this wage rate at E double prime, divided by P76, the real wage has actually gone down. So workers are worse off. Even though we've hired more workers, producing more output, the average worker was worse off. And what we argued last time is that in the long run, okay, workers can renegotiate for higher wages. And that's what they did. Because they now realize that prices are rising, they want their wages to increase with the price level. So, before this labor supply schedule was a function of the expected price level PE, now PE prime is now going up because everyone sees prices rising. So if PE prime is going up, this labor supply schedule is going to shift upward and inward in the long run, so workers can secure a higher wage rate to keep pace with the higher inflation. But firms say, look, if you want higher wages, we've got to reduce the amount of workers that we're going to employ. So this labor supply schedule shifts upward and inward, and we go back to employment in LN 75. And as wages are starting to rise, as these workers are renegotiating for higher wage rates, the cost of production shift. And I now realize that I didn't put this curve in here, and I will do that right now. This is like real-time stuff. This shifts to SRAS 76. Okay? So now the short-run aggregate supply schedule shifts upward and inward due to the rise in wages from this graph. So, in the long run, we're now at E triple prime, and it's the case that the real wage initially W75 over P75, and now we have a wage rate in 76 called W prime 76, and then the price levels P prime 76. Wages have gone up enough to where the real wage in 76 is now identical to what it was in 75. So, with what the Fed was attempting to do, they did a temporary bump in output due to the increase in the money supply, but eventually the long-run adjustment is we're no better off than where we were. We're back to YN 75, and all that's happened is prices have gone up and wages have gone up. Okay? So no one is better off, but the problem is the price level is starting to rise even more. And that was the growing problem in the late 70s, which we're going to talk about in a few minutes. So let me stop here, and we will pick it up in a couple of minutes. Okay, bye-bye.